there was this younger son. He just had to go to San Francisco. He left home. He just couldn't live his life according to someone else's rules. He had to be free. He had to live the life the way he wanted to live it, to determine his own path, to determine his own ways. Not surprising, when he left home, he caused a lot of pain, a lot of heartache. His parents couldn't even begin to put the words of the feelings together. It was just too difficult. And not surprisingly, the young son, he didn't last too long on his own. He quickly ran out of money, quickly ran out of friends, and he quickly hit rock bottom. He was at his wit's end. He didn't know what to do. He decided, I'll write a letter home. Dear Mom and Dad, I've come down and realized that I've been the cause of much pain. I'm the one that has sinned against you and against God. I'm not even worthy to be called your son anymore. There's no reason that you should receive me back. There's no reason that you should even love me anymore. But I do want to come back home. I'm at the bottom of the barrel, scraping by. But I do have that hope. A hope to just return. A hope to just come back home. That is, if you'll have me. If you'll receive me back. I've gotten a train ticket. It's the line that comes right past the old farmhouse there. And if you'll have me back, put a white sheet out in the wash line in the backyard. That way I'll know. And if there's no white sheet, I understand. I understand that it's not right for me to return. He sent the letter off, and he let a few days go by, and he boarded the train. And as he got on that train, he was a little nervous. And as it made its way down the track, closer and closer to Seattle, his heart began to beat. His palms began to sweat. And knowing that just around the bend would be that little white farmhouse with the red barn and the old dilapidated fence. So he asked the man sitting next to him, he said, "Sir, can you look out the window? There's going to be this old barn. It's red. There's going to be an old farmhouse. It's white, and there's going to be this dilapidated fence. And in the backyard, there's going to be this wash line. Can you tell me if there's a white sheet on that wash line? I can't bear to look." So he covered his hands over his eyes, which were shut tightly, and he waited. The silence was deafening. Soon the man said, "Look, look, open your eyes." And there he looked to the left. And there the entire wash line in the backyard was covered in white sheets. And so was the red barn and the old dilapidated fence. It seemed like everything in the whole backyard was covered in white sheets. Yes, the parents desired. They longed for their son to come home. They seemed so fitting. The sheets just blowing in the wind. A gentle breeze saying, "Welcome home. Welcome home." But the pain that parents experience when a child leaves home is one that is undescribable. It's because we deeply love our children. We deeply care for our children. It's an agony that never seems to end until the children come back home. That love that we have for our children, it's though it's just seared right onto our hearts. I think that's why the pain runs so deep. But that's the pain that you see here in this parable of the prodigal son. It speaks very clearly of pain. In fact, you see the pain of the father. He gives up his inheritance. He lets his son go. His son leaves home. His son divides the home. And then he sees the pain of his older son, who is filled with anger and resentment towards him and also towards that reckless younger son. And the older son, he is the one that is held hostage. and his self-righteous anger, something he just can't let go of. There's pain there. Pain for everybody. Pain for the younger son, pain for the older son, pain for the father. And the father gets a lot of pain because he may never see his younger son again. And then he also gets the pain of the older son who's filled with resentment. He won't even come to his own brother's return, to a celebration party. But the irony of it all is that to be as compassionate as God is compassionate to us is very, very painful. And we lead lives that take us into decisions, into situations in life that we're not quite ready for, and they can be quite costly as well. We are led into all kinds of the depths of humanity in this life, places that are painful to go. Henry Nolan said it this way: open your hands, and the world will pound nails right into them. Drive them in, I think, is a great expression. But to be compassionate, as compassionate as that Father is, gives us just a glimpse of how much love He has for us. Even when we have such reckless behavior, even when we're like the younger son who just has to go off on our own way, has to pursue our own things in lives. And then as the older son, where we get angry, resentful, and turns us to bitterness at times. I think many parent can identify with that. As a parent, we see that kind of behavior in ourselves and our families, but mostly in our children. And that's where the real pain comes in, because we love our children so much. There are many messages in this parable. I think that's why it's such a beloved parable, the parable of the prodigal son. But the central truth comes out loud and clear. God is a compassionate God whose heart is just abounding with love for us. That's the main central message. That's the heart of God. That's God's heart that goes all the way to the cross. That's the heart that opens and cries out, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. That's the kind of love that comes out, the kind of love that we see in Jesus. It's untamed. It's abounding. It's reckless. It's a love that comes out to you, to me, to everyone that'll just turn to Him. In fact, that love doesn't even wait for you to turn. That's the kind of love that pursues you, comes right after you, constantly clinging, nagging right there, like that shadow right behind you. You can feel the eyes upon you, but you just can't see it. But you feel it. It's right there. But it's also warm. It's welcoming. It's that love that says, welcome home. Come home once again. It's a love that won't let go. It's a love that says, fear nothing, for I am with you. But it's softly, yet ever so tenderly, so gently speaking, come home. Come home. That's the kind of divine love. That's the kind of divine love that you can see, that you can experience. Every time we have a baptism, you get to see it. The person that's baptized gets to experience that love just running down over them. But that's not the only place. You can smell it. You can taste it every time we have the Lord's Supper. That's the kind of love that just comes out and envelops you from the inside out. It releases the pain. It helps you walk in those dark areas of your life. It's the kind of love that will walk with you down the roads of life, wherever you go. And many of us walk in some plenty dark places. We come into some deep, dark valleys. In fact, many of us are looking for somebody just to walk with us, just so that we can catch a glimpse just around the bend of home, of the victory that we have in Jesus Christ. We have people here in this church that are willing to do that. That are willing to walk alongside of you through the dark valleys, through the deep, deep pain of life. They're called Stephen ministers. They're highly experienced. They're highly trained. And what a valued gift they are. If you need somebody to walk alongside you through the valleys, through the pain, discover a Stephen's minister. It's an experience that you will not forget. It will remain with you for the rest of your life. And that's where you'll discover that we do have a God that is compassionate. We do have a God that is loving, that says, welcome home. A God that says, I'm not going to only just go to the tree. I'm going to put those white sheets on the tree. I'm going to put them on the cross. I'm going to put them on the fences. I'm going to put it on the rooftops. I'm going to put them everywhere. I want you to see the white sheets blowing in the wind, pointing in the direction that you should come home. Each sheet just waving, welcome, home. God's home. It's open to all who believe. All that will come to His Son, because the victory feast waits. It awaits for all of us. Living Lent means that we do just that. We show that love, we have that compassion, but we know that in all of Christ's pain, in all of His suffering, that He defeated death for us, that He opened up heaven for us, and that we, as people of the resurrection, get to live Lent every day, and that we have nothing to fear, because God is with us, and we'll be with Him forever. Amen?